this was an experience where I got to practice what it was like to advocate for myself, to speak and clearly communicate exactly what I wanted. And this story is the story of going to Thailand, and while I was there, having a suit custom made, custom tailored just for me. Welcome to the SolScript Podcast. Here we explore how to unlock the power of our story. Our journey here on Earth can be one of deep passion, intentional creation, and personal transformation. The only thing holding us back is our stories. Come and join me as we rewrite and reignite. Hey, you guys, and welcome to the SolScript Podcast. I am your host, Lara Titanser, and today I'm going to tell you a story that on the surface seems kind of silly and inconsequential, but really, if I look at it, a layer under was impactful to me. Now, on so many levels, this was a big deal for me, even though it seems simple. Now, this is an experience that I would love anybody and everybody to have, if at all possible. But the thing is I know that not everybody is going to be able to go to Thailand. And even if you're in Thailand, maybe you're not going to get a suit custom made. But there are ways that you can practice advocating for yourself and clearly communicating what it is that you want. Our nervous system learns that it might not be safe to say what I want. And especially if we didn't get that opportunity to really vocalize what it is that we wanted when we were younger. And so our nervous system is king, right? Our nervous system tells our body and our mind everything. And so when it comes to practicing these skills and learning to advocate and learning to speak what it is that you want, it really is practicing so that when those big experiences come, when those big moments come where it's going to be maybe a little bit uncomfortable or maybe a lot uncomfortable to be able to speak up and say what it is that we want, it won't be quite as hard. And our nervous system will come in and will say, hey, remember, we've done this before. We've talked about the things that we've wanted and we've had success with it. And it's safe to do. And so I love this idea that we just get to practice in our everyday life. Now, even if you can't go to Thailand and you can't go and get a custom suit made, that is okay. At the very end of this episode, I'm going to just throw out a few ways that you can practice as well. But I want to share how this was really important to me and how I look back on it very frequently as an example and as evidence to my nervous system that, hey, we can advocate for ourselves and we can clearly state what it is that we want. And it has this beautiful outcome. So I'm in Thailand with my husband, all of his siblings, my father-in-law, my husband's aunt and uncle. I mean, a huge group of people. And we had been touring around Thailand and got to Bangkok. And one of these things that I wanted to experience when we were in Bangkok, I mean, there's amazing temples. There's some really cool places to go and eat. But I had read about the idea of, hey, maybe when you're in Bangkok, if you're there long enough, go and get something custom made for yourself. And when I read that, I think there was something that probably spoke to my soul, honestly. There was probably like soul communication, like, hey, you want that experience. But on the surface level, it was like, oh, I'm 5'2", and my experience is pants never fit me. They're always too long. And I'm not quite short enough for petite either. And so I thought that would be cool to have this experience. And also, for some reason, I'm not sure what it is, I had been seeing like women's power suits everywhere. And I was like, dang, I kind of want one of those. Dang, she is rocking that. And I'm like, what if I had one of those made for me? Is this crazy? is this a crazy idea? I mean, first of all, going and getting something made for myself, that was a stretch. And then also, I want it to be a suit. Is this crazy? And, I kind of threw it out there to everybody. I'm like, okay, so this is an experience I want. Is this an experience that anybody else wants? And I'm like, have my fingers crossed, like, please, 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 because it would make it so much easier if somebody else wanted to do it. I didn't have to be the one that was like, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to find the place. I have to take the lead. I would be able to kind of follow somebody else's lead. Well, unfortunately, nobody else wanted to go and have this experience. It didn't really appeal to them. I don't know why. I mean, come on, guys. Just kidding. Just kidding. I completely understand. You probably, the majority of people don't want to spend their time on vacation getting custom-made clothes made for them. But it was a little disheartening to me that nobody else wanted to do it. And so I knew that if I wanted to do it, I was going to have to speak up for myself. And I was going to maybe possibly have to inconvenience people. Sometimes that can be hard. Can we be honest about this? Like, you're on vacation, you have limited amount of days, and you really want to do something, but you also want other people to be happy. And it took a lot of, I don't know, what did it take a lot of? It took a lot of strength for me to say, this is what I want. Can we please make this happen? And we made it happen. My, I guess, aunt-in-law took us to the area of town where they have a whole bunch of tailors. And we went into a couple stores, shops before we found one that had the availability to do it in the time frame that I needed it done in. Now, in this store, I walk in and it's a store that is for men. It is for men to get their suits made. It's a suit shop. And that's what they do. And so the owner is a man. All of his employees are men. Everybody in the store is a man. And so you can imagine how intimidating it was for me to walk in there. And, I'm just like, hey, I'm here with you. I'm keeping you safe, or I'm, making sure that things go okay. But like, I'm not like doing this for you. It's kind of like this nudge forward. He's pushing me from behind, and I'm like, okay. And I go up to this man and I'm like, I'm just wondering if you could make a custom-made suit for me. And he's like, for you? And I'm like, yeah, for me. And he was so awesome. He's like, yeah, of course we can. Now, I'm pretty sure they've never had a female customer before, just like through our dialogue and things like that. I don't think he had a female customer before. Even though he was like, yeah, absolutely, of course we can, because he's not going to say no to business, right? So he's like, yeah, for sure. And they're like, what do you want? And I'm like, I don't know, a suit? Well, guys, there are so many different kinds of suits out there. It's not just, hey, can you make me a suit? It's like, okay, do you want it long sleeve? Do you want it short sleeve? What color do you want it? Do you want the legs to be fitted? Do you want them to be flare? Do you want, fabric choices? Like, do you want a pleat in the middle? Do you want it to cinch in the back? Do you want the neckline to be deep? Do you want it to be shallow? Do you want buttons? How many buttons do you want? It's not just like, let me go in and have you make me a suit. Now, luckily, I knew I was going to do this, and so I had kind of pulled up some inspo. And I sat there, in the store, just like scrolling through my phone and being like, hey, so I like this part of this suit, and I like this of this, and I like this aspect of it. And it is really interesting to stand in a store in front of a bunch of men and say exactly what you want, to the degree that they're going to make it for you. So I can't be vague. I have to be very specific of how I want it fitted. Do I want it tight? Do I want it loose? And there were so many questions, but it's not like they had some kind of a guidebook that was like, here are our women's suits. Which one do you like? Pick one out. It was me coming up, pulling stuff out of my butt, pulling stuff off of the internet, asking questions again and again and again, him asking follow-up questions and trying to get this idea. And it is powerful to be able to do that, to be able to stand there and clearly communicate what it is that you want so clearly that they're going to make it for you and that you're going to wear it. It's really hard. It was really hard for me, I should say. For some women, this might be totally normal, totally easy, whatever. But for me, it was very difficult to be able to do that. And if I didn't clearly communicate and say what my preference was, then they couldn't make it for me. And so next thing I know, I'm communicating these things. They're measuring me, taking measurements, and I have sweat pits like down to my elbows. I'm not even freaking kidding. I am sweating so bad and I'm so nervous and embarrassed, but they're taking my measurements. They're making sure that every part of me is measured correctly so that my suit fits me well. And then I have a whole wall of fabric. What fabric do you want? And I would pick something up and I'd show it to Andrew and I'd be like, what do you think? And he's so great. He wasn't very involved. And that was exactly as it needed to be. Because the practice of me picking out the fabric and deciding it was what I wanted, and not because he said it looked good or bad, it was empowering. And so I picked out a color that I don't think he liked, but that I loved. And then I got to pick the lining, and the lining could be silly and crazy. And that was so fun. And it was just totally for me. And, man, you guys, it was so cool to be able to practice doing that. And we had to go in for a second fitting just to see how it was. And I remember going in there, and I think that fitting was actually maybe a smidge harder than the original fitting, because there were things that I didn't like about what they had made. And I didn't realize that I didn't like them, or I didn't realize that I wanted it a specific way until I saw it. It's like, oh, the shoulders need to be skinnier, and I want the neck to go deeper, and also it's kind of tight. My pants, it's a little too tight. Can you loosen them? This fabric doesn't stretch very much. And in my mind, I was thinking, oh, but they've already gone through all of this work. They've already done all of this stuff. And here I am nitpicking, and I don't want to nitpick. I don't want to inconvenience them. And Andrew's like, dude, this is their job. This is the job, to make sure that it fits you well. So make sure it's exactly what you want. And so they had to go in and they had to do adjustments. And because of that, I couldn't walk out of the shop with my clothes. They had to actually send them to me, send them to America. But I did. I spoke up and I said exactly what I wanted. And I had them make those changes. And guess what? It wasn't a big deal. Like, they were like, yeah, okay, we can make those changes. It's going to take a little bit longer, but we can get them to you. And so when we got back to America, it actually showed up almost right after we got back. And I pulled it out of the paper, just so excited. And I put on the suit and I was like the happiest woman. It was so fun to pull on that suit that fit just right and was this fun, spunky power suit that just had a vest. And I'll totally add pictures to the video. So if you're watching the video, this is the suit. Same color as my walls almost here. This blue green, deep blue green, and it had just a vest and then some like semi-fitted pants. And man, I should have worn it for this podcast recording. I'm just realizing, why am I not wearing it? That would have been really smart. That would have been really fun. I'll just have to show you guys pictures. But I love wearing that. And I feel so confident in it. And it is so just me. And that's because I took the time to say exactly what I wanted. And I wasn't embarrassed at the fabric color choice or at the fact that I just wanted a vest and not like a full suit. And it is like to this day one of my favorite articles of clothing of all time. And I love to wear it. But I also loved the experience of being able to clearly communicate exactly what I wanted so clearly that they could make a suit out of thin air. That there wasn't a pattern for it. There wasn't pictures. It wasn't a book that I just scrolled through and said, I think this is what I want. I wasn't choosing options. It was me saying, I like this, and I like this, and I like that, and I like that. Well, this is something that I think, like I said, I'd love everybody to experience, but you can't all go to Thailand. Maybe you can, and if you do, please go get a suit made or a dress made or whatever it is. Go crazy. Go get something made. But if you can't do that, you can practice this right now. And it's simple things like when I order food. Like I love a very specific drink and it's weird, okay? My favorite drink ever is half Dr. Pepper and half root beer. And I always feel a little silly saying, can I get half Dr. Pepper, half root beer? But it's important to vocalize the things that you want on a really small scale. So from my personal experience, and you can always take my advice or you can leave it. You can take aspects from what I say and leave the rest, whatever it is. But from my experience, practicing on a really small scale on a very regular basis makes it easier to say it when it really matters. But how can we practice these things on a small scale? So when you're ordering food, when somebody asks you where you want to go for dinner, rather than saying, oh, I don't care, you choose. How about you actually look and say, what do I want for dinner right now? And then answer with the thing that you want. Even if not everybody in the car likes that thing. Now, I completely understand there's a time and a place for being accommodating to other people. That's absolutely understandable. We're not just going to steamroll others. We're not going to always just, go to the place that you want to go just because you want to go there and nobody else likes it. I get that. Accommodating other people is important. Being mindful of people is important. But you are a person too. And being mindful of you is important. And I would love to do this more in my life. And I'm recommitting myself to practicing more on a small scale so that when it is really important on that big, maybe a little bit scarier scale, I can do it. And my nervous system says, I got you. All right, you guys, that was it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed that story and that you go ahead and practice practice saying exactly what it is that you want and advocating for yourself on a small scale. We'll talk to you next time.